Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you haven't been here before. I want to do a video on my top 5 tips for photographing birds and wildlife. I've been doing nature photography since I was 18, maybe 17 years old. I started taking it very serious. I'm now 33, and over the years I've definitely come up with 5 really good tips for wildlife and nature photography that I can guarantee you is going to make you a better bird or wildlife photographer. I touched on a few of these points individually. I have some videos that do touch on these, and I'll link those videos in the description if you want a little bit more detail on these specific tips. But I wrote them down because I want to say them in a specific order because some of them kind of relate to each other. The first tip I want to share with you is, and probably the biggest one, ISO 400 right off the bat. If you're walking around with a telephoto lens, you're looking for birds, you're listening, you're walking down the trail, if you aren't on ISO 400 right off the bat, for example, say you're on ISO 100, and you see a bird, it lands right in front of you, everything is perfect, you pull the camera up, shutter speed's too slow. So if you're shooting on aperture priority, this could be a problem. If you're shooting on program mode, this could be a problem. If you're shooting on manual mode, not so much of a problem because you can adjust on the fly. If you're shooting on these preset manual modes like shutter priority or aperture priority, say you're on shutter priority and your ISO is 100 and you need such a slow shutter speed that the shot is blurry. So in order for the picture to be actually exposed correctly, your shutter speed is way too slow, the bird is blurry, or it flew away. So if you're shooting on aperture priority, which is what I recommend, I would go ISO 400. I would even say 800, especially for full frames. ISO 400 has been a rule for me personally now for like 10 years. But I was shooting with the Nikon D7000. Before that, the Nikon D90. I was using ISO 400. Now with the newer cameras, ISO 400 is so clean. You could go ISO 800 as a base. Maybe keep ISO 100 for the landscape photos when you have a tripod and you're not running and gunning, and everything is slow and steady. ISO 100 is great for those situations. So ISO 400, right off the hop, nice fast shutter speed. You can play with your aperture a little bit if you want to go f8. You don't have to be wide open if your ISO is a little bit higher. So, and don't worry about the noise. The noise on ISO 400, 800 nowadays, you hardly see it. Okay, so this is another one. Tip number 2. Kind of relates to tip number 1. It's all about being ready. So all about your camera being ready and you being ready. Pre-focus down the trail. Okay, where do you take most of your photos? Are most of your photos right in front of your face? No. Birds, animals are coming out, 30, 40 yards ahead of you? So you want to pre-focus on something, anything, down the trail. If you're using autofocus single, or you're locked on, not continuous autofocus. Even with continuous autofocus, you might want to kind of pre-focus on something slightly ahead of the trail, and then when it comes out, you're ready. So I'm using autofocus single. I'm locking onto these animals, these birds. I'm locking onto their face, their eyes, and so I'm pre-focusing down the trail roughly, 30 yards, 40 yards, and then when the animal comes out, my lens is already almost there. It doesn't have to fight to go from a complete blur all the way to sharp, and that really slows things down, and your camera equipment is just not ready, and you miss opportunities if you're not already somewhere in that range of focus. So that is my second biggest tip, pre-focus. Walk around as ready as possible. Obviously your settings are checked and double checked and triple checked. You know, you got your extra memory cards, your extra batteries, everything is double checked, but we're not pre-focused down the trail, and our ISO is sitting on 100, and something happens, we're surprised, and we're just not 100% ready. So that's my number two biggest tip. Okay, tip number 3. So quick recap, you're pre-focused down the trail, your ISO 400 is set, or 800, your camera's ready, you're ready, something happens, something exciting is happening right in front of you, a deer, or a bear, or a bird, or who knows what. Take the picture right away. So many people I am with, they're like, oh, let's sneak up to it. No, just take the picture, then we'll sneak up to it. If you see something, you go, oh my God, and the first thing you decide to do is move here or get closer. You know, you spook the animal or the bird. Just take the first initial shot. Now, if you're in a vehicle, wind the window down, leave the engine running, take the photo, then get out of the car and try to creep up more, or put the car in drive and slowly drive up to the animal. Animals are very comfortable with vehicles. As soon as you separate yourself from that vehicle, they get really uneasy. So if you're in a vehicle, wind the window down, stick your lens out, take the picture. Don't get out right away. Don't honk the horn by accident. Don't shut the engine off. Turn the radio down. And if you're on foot, just take the first initial shot that's essentially proof, like, hey, look what I saw today. Maybe in post I can crop it, I can adjust it, I can make it look good. But that might be your only opportunity there to actually get a photo. So when I was a rookie, I was just wanting to get close and low to everything. Progress as you go, take the picture. If the animal is comfortable with you, then you can progress and get ridiculously close, and you might have some really good shooting opportunities there, but make sure you get that first initial shot, because when you see the animal, they've probably already seen you. 4th tip, you can see how these are all relating to each other. Slow down when you're walking, okay? So you're walking slow, you're walking quiet, you're listening, your camera's ready, you're ready, everything's good. If something happens and you do take that first initial shot before you even try to sneak up, the reason you were able to get that first initial shot in the first place is probably because you were walking slowly, you were walking quietly. If you start storming through the bush or power walking down the trail, you are going to be just as surprised as the bird or the animal when you guys come around the corner and meet each other. So slow down, just focus on listening, walking slow, and just, when everything's slower, it's better, trust me. That's my motto in life. If you know me personally, slow down is my life motto. I am the slowest person on the planet. Moving on, next tip, last tip, and this is what I struggle with the most. You guys know this because I go months without even uploading a YouTube video, let alone going out and taking pictures. Half the time I'm caught up fishing and doing other things. But anyways, getting off track. Last tip, the biggest struggle, and I'm a huge hypocrite, is you are your own worst enemy. If you are lazy, like today, it's drizzling outside, so I'm like, you know what? Forget it. I'm not going out today. Go out. Who cares? Like, you have the day off. You can spare an hour to go shoot. So, I know, like, I'm preaching this to you. It's hilarious while I'm sitting on the couch. But get out. You're your own worst enemy for sure. Your attitude will hugely influence your photos. Not only at home, and, you know, that depends whether you even get up in the first place and go out. But even when you're out, your attitude really, really affects your photos. If work is driving you nuts, kids, husband, wife, anything's driving you nuts, when you're on the trail, if that's all you're thinking about, if you're in the bush and that's all you're thinking about, you're not taking pictures. So you just want to like breathe, relax. Photography time is your medicine. Photography time is separate from work and everything else. Hell, put your phone on airplane mode, leave it in the car, who cares? Go out, take some pictures. When you get back, you're going to be so glad you did that. That might lead to you going out again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day. And so, biggest thing, your attitude, your laziness, excuses, all that stuff. I struggle with it. That's the biggest struggle. Once I'm out, I'm fine. It's getting in the car. The other day I went to go take pictures and I couldn't find, I had memory cards, I couldn't find the memory card I wanted, so I said screw it. What are you doing? So anyways, I shouldn't even be preaching that to you, but because I struggle with it so much, I know firsthand a lot of people are out there with the same struggles. So thank you guys so much for watching. A lot of my subscribers have way more experience than me, so please comment below. Tips, ideas, what do you guys think would help other people? So let's make this video in this comment section the most helpful video on YouTube, guys. Like, subscribe. I'm here to help you guys. If you guys have any questions, comment. I'll reply to you as fast as I can. Thank you again so much for watching. Please stay safe in these crazy times. Happy Thanksgiving, and I'll see you next time.